gavel louder. I would like to call the meeting of the Board of Education of St. Mary's County to order on today, May 13th, 2015. I would like a motion to move into executive session.
I move the board enter into executive session for the purpose of personnel, collective bargaining or legal, property acquisition issues, and student issues under Maryland Local Government Code Article Section 9-512A, 1, 2, 6, and 10.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Off we go. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm taking pictures already.
Dick, and she's not afraid of you.
So, all right, I'd like to reconvene the meeting of the Board of Education of St. Mary's County for today, May 13th, 2015. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. See, we all get to see. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I would like a motion to approve the agenda. Just the agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving right along to board reports. Mrs. Crosby, you're up first.
Sure. Okay, let me make sure it's on. I went away to Holland and Belgium with the retirees. It was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We flew over by KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, which was a wonderful trip straight through from Dulles. We landed in Holland, and immediately we got off of the plane and took a tour by bus around the city of Amsterdam, which was very interesting. Then they picked us up in another bus and took us to our Viking ship. The Viking ship was very nice. The staff was excellent. Everybody knew exactly what their job was. They didn't just do one job. If they unloaded your baggage, they also might be serving your meal. I've never seen such a well-organized group in my entire life, to be honest with you. Let's see, I was going to tell you about that. We went all around Amsterdam, and then the next part of our journey was Belgium. What were the highlights? The highlights, I think, were the tulips. We were very lucky. Normally, the tulips would not have been in bloom at this time, but since the cold weather had extended, and oh, I knew that because I brought a heavy jacket and I needed it every minute of the day. So the tulip fields were wonderful. The kids, what I thought you might find interesting is the children, or the young men and women, they biked to and from school, and sometimes it was as far as 15 miles each way. They don't have an obesity problem in Holland, let me tell you. They do not. I also found this one day very interesting. I used to teach history, and they had King William of Orange was from Belgium, and he went over and became King of England. Anyway, they have what's called King's Day, which celebrates the King's birthday, and it's a lot like the 4th of July. And everybody wears orange. Well, I accidentally brought over an orange blouse. I didn't know it was King's Day. It's like our 4th of July. So I was wearing it, and everybody said, "How did you know to wear orange today?" Anyway, they really let loose. We were on the ship. We could hear them, the bands. They have a party, let me tell you. Which brings me to one other thing. We went on another tour the next day, and the guide kept apologizing for the messy streets, because every now and then you'd see a beer can. That place is fastidious. It's so clean, so neat. It's too bad our country hasn't taken on that. I don't know whether it's cultural or what, but it's really nice. And he apologized, though, when before King's Day, because things were a little bit, there were a few things out in the streets. Anyway, I had a great time, took lots of pictures. We're all getting back together again, 40 of us, half retirees, half their spouses, then their friends. We're all going to get together for another party. Oh, this is great. I love it. So that's where I was. Thank you.
Mrs. Weaver?
Oh, well, several weeks ago, the principal from Leonardtown High School, Maureen Montgomery, had asked me, jokingly at first, to be a chaperone for the prom. And I responded, of course I would be. So I also recruited my husband to come along with me. It was so much fun. My husband and I, Greg, we did make it into a date night. We went out for dinner. We got all dressed up. We were in Leonardtown colors, for the prom. We were able to be the ticket takers and ID checkers coming in the door. So it was a great place to be because we saw the students all dressed up, walking the red carpet to come on in. And they were wonderful. They were so appreciative, great manners coming in, when we asked them, like, if they needed to show their ID, if they were not from Leonardtown, it was highlighted, and, yes, ma'am, here, thank you. Very well mannered. And it was, like I said, it was great to see them so dressed up and having a great time. A little bit later on into the prom, I also became the door guard. Because the students were not allowed to leave unless they were leaving for good. Some of the students I did escort to the car because they needed money for pictures and things like that. So, and I had conversation with them, walking out to their car. And I did stay till the end. I was able to hand out the prom gifts at the end, which were sunglasses with Leonardtown High School on it. I did go in for one dance. That was enough. It was very loud, but it was a lot of fun. I was so glad that Miss Montgomery had asked me to be a chaperone there, and like I said, the students, I think, had a wonderful time and a lot of happy memories from it.
Sorry, there's a fly. All right. I attended a lot of events this past few weeks. The one that I'm going to talk about is I did go and visit the Head Start program at Mechanicsville Elementary School. I have to give a huge shout out to Miss Trish and the instructors there. They do a phenomenal job with those students. And they were extremely complimentary of Mr. Clements and his staff and the renovations that they did to the trailers several years ago in order for them to, to fit in that space. We had a parade in which I participated in because they had a special guest there that day, which was me. So we danced, and I don't think anyone took video, Rita, so you're out of luck. But the connection that they have with those children is fabulous. They have really. You could see, not that I have visited there before, but you could see the responsibility that those children took for everything within their classroom, from the books, from their different stations during the day, from their meals, which they do eat family-style meals there, and the staff that moves back and forth between Mechanicsville Elementary, within the food service area to help them is also phenomenal. So they have made it a very nice cocoon to introduce them to school, and hopefully they have instilled that learning, with those children, and that those, Miss Trish and her staff will be that teacher that touches them, that encourages them to stay excited about school, and that they will remember that special bond that they had with her, because it was just a phenomenal group. It was a great time. So
wonderful. Sounds good. Thank you. I attended many events, but the one I will choose to speak about today is the National Academy of Finance at Chopticon High School. It is nationally certified and it meets all the qualifications. So this is an excellent program for our students and an excellent career path. And according to the National Academy of Finance, ChapterCon High School program is a rigorous, proven educational model which prepares our students for college and careers in industry-focused curricula, work-based learning experiences, and business partner expertise. The students in the program study finance, business management, logistics, financial and business law, financial services, and international business. And the coordinator is Ms. Tammy Burr, and the coordinating teacher is Ms. Cindy Baden. And to support our students, we have a National Academy of Finance PAC, Professional Advisory Council. And they consist of knowledgeable and experienced, successful business leaders in our community. And they raise money for scholarships for our students and provide internships for our students as well. So that is very cool when you can go to school, learn, and have an internship which pays you money. And I want to thank all our community partners and the PAC committee who work diligently with our students. And one of the components of the program that I enjoy is the Lunch and Learn program. And one of our superintendent staff members, Mr. Jeff Marr, went there and he worked with the students on interviewing skills. And I heard it was a huge success. Other topics where speakers would come in and the students voluntarily and willingly give up their lunch. They eat lunch and they learn at the same time. Other topics are franchising opportunities, fundamentals of being self-employed, business ownership, protecting your identity, mortgages, and many other business-related highlights. And here's some of the highlights of the Academy. Our NAOF Academy students have been recognized by our Board of County Commissioners during National Financial Literacy Month. The Patuxent Partnership has given the NAOF $2,500 to support their program. And the seniors in the program visited NAS Pax River to learn about cost estimating. There's also been job shadowing for the sophomores and a financial literacy night, which was excellent. I attended that program as well. And students talked about various issues. Anything you want to know about business, they can tell you. They can tell you how to finance a college education, how to finance a home mortgage. They covered how to buy a car, what's the best deal, and they had a National Career Day. So there are many learning opportunities for our students at ChapterCon at the National Academy of Finance, and it is a wonderful program, and our students are very excited about it, and I know they will be well prepared for college and careers in business-related fields. Thank you.
Mrs. Allen?
Monday, I, along with Mrs. Weaver and Mrs. Washington, attended the culminating ceremony for the class of 2015 Fairlead Academy. It was a celebratory brunch and awards ceremony. 94% of the students there are graduating.
Selected to graduate on time. Yeah.
On time, and we even have 3 students who are graduating early
3 years, right.
through their hard work and diligence. And the brunch was held at the Forest Center. It was an opportunity for the students and their families to get together and celebrate all the hard work that they put in order to accomplish this. And their comments, the students' comments about why they were successful through that program were very compelling, and it was most enjoyable. We were joined by Commissioner President Randy Guy, Commissioner Tom Jarboe, and Commissioner John O'Connor, and exciting time. It's hard to believe that May is here already and that our students are getting ready to move on. I know Charlie Sasser's sitting back there going, yeah, I'm out of here. I didn't miss that, Charlie. At any rate, it was a very exciting ceremony, and hard to believe that this is the 4th group of students who will have completed 4 years through with some touch by this program, whether it's just for their freshman year or whether they go in and out of the program or whether they stay with it for all 4 years. it has really proven its worth by virtue of the fact that the students are graduating. And I've taken the opportunity to go and sit in on their classes. These are not watered down classes. This is a different support model to make sure that students who may need some additional assistance in a variety of ways has that support network in place actively, and this bears fruit, and it's so significant. Heard many good things from the commissioners about the program, that they're very supportive of it, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you very much. That's it.
You're on, Mr. Smith.
And I would have to echo that's the most fantastic way to start your week, to have an event like that. We should all be exceptionally proud of the work that's done with all of those students. Certainly this board has been steadfast in its support of programs for children and pathways and choice, and that's just a fantastic model. So thank you for all of that. I've been busy the last 2 weeks running about Ocean City for Common Ground and PZAM meetings, in Washington, D.C., where we honored Miss Wachula Adams, the principal of the year at our Green Holly Elementary School, the Distinguished Leader of the Year. Miss Weaver and I had an opportunity to celebrate her with her entire family, Miss Adams' family, her son, daughter-in-law, husband, 2 sisters and a brother. So I mean, it was really fantastic. It was such a celebration, and so well deserved. On Friday night, it was up at the JC Center up in Waldorf for the Kiwanis Service Leadership Program Appreciation Night, where we talked about our key clubs and our builders clubs and our partnerships that we have with the Kiwanis organization. Truly inspirational to hear what these students are doing on behalf of others in the community. And then last night, we went to the Law Enforcement Appreciation Day ceremony, and we'll be appreciating our own law enforcement individuals later today. But I finished the evening at Broom Howard Inn with the Patuxent Partners annual donor dinner. And Bonnie Green so graciously invited me to represent the school system. And what's the relationship that we've had with the Patuxent Partnership is really, it's incredible. It's a fantastic model for sustainability and for investment in our children's future. And in fact, the week prior, she came by and dropped off a $30,000 check from the Patuxent Partnership to St. Mary's County Public Schools. And I said, we can bring you forward, and she said, no, just, that's fine. That really funds our summer space camp that we offer to all of our children. And let me inform you now, there's space still available for the summer space camp. And they're going to be doing a lot of really fun things this year. They are introducing quadcopters and robotics, and of course the mainstay, rocketry. There's a lot of really fun things going on. So if you have a child, I have several, and you realize the summer has a lot of time that could be applied to learning, we have a whole host of summer camps available. Visit our website. You'll see it right on the right-hand side. It says Summer Activities. Click on it. There's a whole bunch of things. I encourage you to encourage your child to attend any of these great opportunities. So with that, I know we have a recognition. I know we are in the season of recognitions. I will turn it back to you, Miss Bailey.
And I will turn it over to Mr. Jason Hayes for the Envirothon competition.
Good morning, Board of Education.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On April 22nd, teams from all 3 high schools competed in the 2015 Envirothon competition sponsored by the St. Mary's Soil Conservation District. The teams competed in a variety of categories, including aquatics, forestry, soils, wildlife, and special topics, this year's special topic being urban forestry. The Great Mills team are this year's Envirothon champions, sweeping all 5 categories. They will now advance to the state Envirothon competition being held this year at St. Mary's College on June 17th and 18th. At this time, I would like to recognize the Great Mills Envirothon team and their coach, Miss Jean Illingworth. So students, when I call your name up, please come up and receive your certificate and then remain standing up here for recognition. Starting with Miss Virginia Dietrich. Zachary Rivas. Charles Sasser III. Emerson Schaefer. Chandler White. And the head coach of the 2015 Envirothon champions, Ms. Jean Ellen. I would also like to recognize Bruce Young, District Manager for the St. Mary's Soil Conservation District, and Haley Carter, both of which are in attendance today. St. Mary's County Public Schools greatly appreciates the effort of Bruce and Haley and the Soil Conservation District in supporting Envirothon year after year. Bruce and Haley, please come forward and receive your certificates as tokens of our gratitude.
Sure. Behind the microphone there.
Everybody hear me okay?
No, we're recording this.
Oh, no.
This is all going to be on YouTube, and after we're done, we we upload this, we tweet this out, we try to get people to really see the recognition of the fantastic work and partnerships that we have. So with that, Mr. Young.
Well, great. And I'd like to thank Rita Weaver. She did come out and participate at our training session, which we held a little bit earlier this year. Gave her a first-hand look at the Envirothon. Just some history here in St. Mary's County. The Envirothon started in 1993, and actually it was with teachers from Great Mills High School. Jean was one of those that started us off with Claudia Wortman years ago, and that was a team that we pulled together. My son was on it, Claudia's son, and some of their friends, and that's where we got started, going forward through St. Mary's County schools. I'm happy to say that we've had a very good track record. Every year, as we first started with Great Mills High School, we then expanded to Leonardtown and Chopticon, St. Mary's Riken. Unfortunately, they were not able to participate this year, but we've had the participation of all the public and the private high schools in St. Mary's County. We hope to extend this on into those other schools that we have, special schools, King's Christian Academy, and some others. Funding for the program comes through the Soil Conservation District, as well as numerous businesses and individuals in St. Mary's County. I'm happy to report that our budget is about $6,000 to $7,000 a year. None comes out of the pockets of these students. I know for a lot of field trips and activities that the students go on, they all have to pay monies for bus transportation and so on like that. We want as many students to be able to have the experience of the Envirothon. It's an outdoor program, hands-on program. They're in a soils pit. They're learning how to texture soils. They're learning the different horizons in a soil. They're able to go out in the forest, cruise timber, to tell you how many board feet are in a tree, or logs, how many trees make up that entire area, or how many board feet are in an acre of timberland. Aquatics, they're able to identify fish, just by using a key and take it to the family level. And what in the aquatics environment maintains or means a healthy stream. So all these things that we're hoping they will put together and take to a career later on in the environmental field. We start in the fall. We take them out to a local farm where they get this training from natural resource professionals as well as some other volunteers that come out. John Hauser, independent forester, does our forestry training. Rob Chapman, who many of you may know, who is a private consultant now, comes out and does our aquatics training. He used to be a teacher at Chopticon High School and was one of our advisors at that time and took several teams to the state Envirothon competition. This year, urban forestry. What better at urban forestry than SMECO's involvement? Scott Bacon with SMECO, who does a lot of their urban forestry work and dealing with the power company and everything, came out and is actually our 5th issue resource person this year. So we have a lot of involvement from the community on this. I do want to especially thank Jean as a teacher and all the teacher advisors that come out. We do require the teachers to come out from the schools. We make sure they all know we are not teachers. We are not educators. We try to do our best when we get out there, but we're training them as natural resource professionals would train somebody. But we do need the advisors out there and the students. We actually require them to spend a lot of time during the year. The packet of information when we first started off before we got into the technological age was a 3-ring binder, I think about 4-inch 3-ring binder of college education level material. It goes beyond high school. We've had several graduating students that said they went through their first year of college and hardly had to flip open a book because they already knew a lot of this information. It is not easy. We stress that they need to do a lot of the work on their own. We'll provide 2 opportunities, a fall training, a spring training before the competition, but if they want to do well, they have to take it upon themselves for the time that their teacher advisor puts together at the school to do a lot of their own training, a lot of their own research, a lot of their own studying. I want to really thank this team. 4 of who are returning from last year's team that won at the local level, that got 5th at the Maryland Envirothon. So we are expecting great things from them this year. Home field advantage at St. Mary's College.
Right?
The last time we had home field advantage, a team from Leonardtown High School won the Maryland Envirothon
2011.
and went on to compete at the North American event. And at that time it was in New Brunswick, Canada. This year, if this team does well and pulls off another victory, we hope, cross our fingers, they will be going to Missouri. Again, all expenses paid, whether it's through the Soil Conservation District locally or through the Maryland Envirothon program themselves. So we'll get them out there and we'll take care of them. Thank you. Without you, we wouldn't have a program. And again, without the sponsors that we have that donate their funds to pull off this program, we wouldn't have it either. So I do want to especially thank every organization that gives money to us, as well as we go out and spend many Saturdays doing special events, popping kettle corn. So if you've seen us in Leonardtown on the Christmas tree lighting, Earth Day events, beach party, we're out there popping kettle corn, selling it. All those funds go to Envirothon, so please come buy a bag from us. All right. And I'll shut up at that point. I think I've said enough unless there's any questions. And I do want to invite the board to the state event. June 17th is our training event. June 18th is the actual competition. We are trying to pull the governor and some of our other people down there for the event. Unfortunately, I think there's a cabinet meeting that day, so we'll have to see if we can maybe have them hold their cabinet meeting down there. But I do want to open an invitation to you to attend. Just let me know so that we can make sure that we have proper arrangements for you. But please come and see what a state level event is. I think that you will be really shocked about the level of learning and training that these students go through as part of the Envirothon program. So thank you. And thank you for your support of the program to allow the teachers and students to come.
And thank you, Mr. Young. Your passion for what you do is truly evident. And Ms. Illingworth, if they continue to win, you'll be staying with us, right? So you won't be you'll just stay with us. Yeah. She will come back. Because this is this will be Miss Illingworth's last year with us. So truly, you know, when you both of you, when you talk about the legacy that you leave behind, Your passion, your care for kids, your care for the environment, your understanding that you only get one worth, one world, one opportunity, you really are instilling incredible values in our kids and sparking a great deal of interest in the environment for the future. So who knows where these young gentlemen and ladies will show up. So if you could push together, we'll get one picture of you all together so that we can
By the
tweet,
flags.
move over towards the flags,
Have it all-
move over
By the flags.
by the flags, and let's get an incredible picture, and we'll call this the precursor for the state champions that we have coming up in May.
And I need to get a selfie picture with my new selfie stick with everything.
Okay, well, I think that's,
Get her up there.
Okay, hang on. Might want to take a break for a second.
that's the only,
We can
Do that as,
We can-
Sue,
why don't we-
let's take the picture of the paper. Jesse, selfie sticks.
this is the only recognition,
All right.
we have a
Yes.
break
First-
scheduled.
I'm
And
using
we
my
are,
selfie
yeah,
stick,
we are
guys,
taking
so.
a 10-minute break.
Right.
So,
Take the
take
break
a
and.
now.
I went to a shoe factory. Touch. Because I was so short, so I.
Don't forget.
Are you ready? All right, we are reconvening our meeting of the St. Mary's County Board of Education. Let's see, public comment.
No public comment.
Okay. The consent agenda. I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next up, Mr. Scott Smith and Ms. Tammy McCourt with the new recommended operating budgets.
And I will defer to Ms. McCourt to take the podium.
You
As
want
it
to
is
stand up there for our new wall?
as it is reflective of her work.
It is kind of a shock to just go from so much to
Yes.
nothing.
Visual
It's more
noise is
visual
now
pleasing.
clean, open space. Insert
Transparent.
thoughts. Yes. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have provided you 4 documents. One is a summary of positions by category, which represents a reconciliation of all positions and changing between categories and increases of positions and restructuring of some departments from fiscal 2015 to 2016. The second document is a reconciliation of all changes in revenue between your approved budget and what we're presenting today for amendments. The third document is a change of all the expenditure adjustments made. And then the final budget document. So as you recall, we had requested $7.1 million in new money from the county, or $101 million, which included $2 million for OPEB, money for the opening of Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary School, healthcare cost increases, and negotiations. With the superintendent's budget, we have projected a conservative increase in state aid of $382,000 based strictly on the increase in student population. And by the time you, the Board of Education, submitted your budget to the county for consideration, the governor had released his budget, which reflected an additional $586,000. Whereas the General Assembly increased our allocation by an additional $1.2 million for a total increase of $2.2 million over the current fiscal year in state aid. If you look at the bottom box on the screen, the county has provided an increased appropriation of $4.8 million, which will be added to our recurring basis for maintenance of effort purposes. In the current fiscal year, they provided an appropriation of $2.6 million for OPEB, which will go unfunded in FY16 to allow us to meet other obligations of the school district. We'll be receiving $1.9 million in non-recurring dollars from the county to pay off our computer lease and for the purchase of textbooks and library books for Duke Elementary. We discussed that the state funding will increase from $96.7 million to $98.9 million, and that includes 1/2 of the GCI monies. The original DCI amount that we have in our current appropriation is $235,000, so this includes $117,000. This amount has been allocated in its entirety of $235,000 in the state's budget. However, it's up to the governor to release the remaining 1/2 of the funds. MSDE has recommended that we only incorporate it within our budget 1/2 of those allocations at this time. The decrease in other is due to the reclassification of the student-paid field trips and the rental of facilities to the revolving fund, as no local, state, or federal tax dollars support this. And the total amended FY16 budget is $200 million, representing an increase of $5.7 million over the current fiscal year.
And if you can go back, Ms. McCourt. So the big, there you go. So the budget that you proposed requested $202 million. And the budget as we sit right now, we have $200 million, $200.4 million. The only real difference is that we are not putting any money towards OPEB. So with the exclusion of that, we are fully funded per the request that was made earlier this year. So I know that in speaking informally with some of the commissioners, they were saying they really did fully fund our request if you take OPEB out of the equation. So we feel very comfortable and confident, and we feel like we've had just a fantastic budget cycle, working with our county commissioners and working with people at the state level to be able to present the budget that we have, and to have a budget that so closely mirrors the original proposed budget that we put forward before you in January. Thank you.
So on the expenditure side, I just want to highlight a few of the changes that we've previously discussed, but just to kind of bring it to closure here. For mid-level, the $1.1 million reduction, this decrease is due to the move of instructional technology staff to supporting services under the category of operations, the reallocation of staff to student services, and we moved the technology leasing to other instructional cost category. Within instructional salaries and wages, this increase represents the new positions for Duke and the cost of compensation increases, which are shown in all of the categories. Textbooks and instructional supplies includes an increase of $457,000 associated with Duke Elementary School, and we added $500,000 for a partial phase-in of new computers in the elementary schools. Other instructional costs includes technology leasing being moved here from mid-level and moving copier rental costs to operations category. Special education includes new positions for Duke, compensation increases, and increased funding needed for non-public school placements. We increased that to $1.5 million. Historically, over the last couple of years, we've spent $1,494,000 in 2013 and $1,496,000 in 2014. What we're recognizing this year is significantly above that dollar amount, so we used the last 2 years' average. Student services includes the relocation of staff from mid-level and compensation increases. Health services includes a nurse for Duke and compensation increases. Student transportation includes the removal of the student-paid field trips to the revolving fund and a reduction of fuel from $4 per gallon to $3.50 per gallon. Operation of plant includes the move of instructional technology staff for the mid-level, move of the copier rental from other instructional costs, and the basic operational increases for Duke Elementary School to include utility cost increases. Maintenance includes compensation increases. Fixed charges includes an increase to pension of $603,000, a health insurance increase of 4.85%, which includes the health insurance costs for our new employees for Duke. Social Security increases for tied to compensation increases. However, we did remove the healthcare reserve and OPEB costs from this line. You have the detail of the positions on your sheets there. However, just as a highlight, the bottom line reflects an increase of 40.4 positions over the current fiscal year, with the majority of those positions being within instructional salaries and wages category of 31.4. Just to hit on a few of the highlights, we've got 27 new positions for Duke, 1 school psychologist, 8 additional teachers for classroom size bubbles that we've recognized this year, 1 staff attorney, 1 benefits coordinator, 1 behavioral specialist for special education, and 1 STEM supervisor. There were also several shifts between FTE allocations between departments to allow for a greater alignment of resources and elimination of some secretarial support positions due to resignations and retirement. In one case, this allowed for us to maintain a pupil personnel worker for the schools that was previously grant funded. So in conclusion, we've met all of our budget priorities with the funding from the county commissioners and the state, those being Duke Elementary School, healthcare costs, and negotiations. Any questions?
Mrs. Crosby?
No, very good. You've done a good job getting the money we need for all the positions we need. Thank you very much.
Thank you for going down through and basically putting the positions into more down on the ground, more in the instructional categories, like we said, the 8 teachers, the school psychologist, and also the PPW. I saw that you put the 0.6 in there. I like how that you've readjusted things in order to make sure that the staff in the classrooms are taken care of.
Mrs. Washington? I'll finish up.
Oh, okay. I think this is a good budget because it meets all of our budget priorities. They had a staffing in place for Duke, our healthcare costs, and negotiations. So this is a great budget, and thanks to the county commissioners who, in essence, fully funded our budget.
This has been a significant moving target. And that's not really that much different than the last number of years. I don't know if uncomfortable is the right word, but I know that the facts and figures have been coming in very last minute, and so this is the first I'm seeing this, and you know, I mean, it came to us after 11 last night. I have to say I was already asleep, I will support this based on the fact that I was comfortable where we were moving up to this point. We're in a better position here than we were as we've been discussing this, but it is difficult because it is something that that I haven't been living with, and I guess I say this a lot. That makes me really uncomfortable. I have to ask about this movement of the compliance and records specialist from special ed to fiscal services. Given the complexity of special education and especially compliance with the the myriad of requirements and the significant penalties for a school system if we are not in compliance. Can you talk to me about why there's a decision to move that person out of special ed and into fiscal services? Are they going to be housed someplace differently but still reviewing that compliance element? And I mean, I just don't understand.
That is exactly the case. The person is currently heavily involved in the grants and the funding and reporting of monies back to MSDE. She works very closely with the executive director of special education, working on staffing allocations. However, it's all money-based, everything that she's doing. So she's now housed within fiscal services and seated side by side with the grant accountant.
Okay, so is that role going to expand by virtue of the fact that they're moving to fiscal services, or is it going to remain focused on special education? And if it's...
It will be remaining focused on special education.
Okay. Then perhaps we could parenthetically put special education based, or in other words, I don't want the board to lose sight of the fact that we have someone in fiscal services who is specifically focused on compliance for special education purposes. So whatever.
I mean, we can certainly title and code specifically. We have done movement of staff throughout this building so that we have, you know, staff to practice in the same locale. By the same movement that we took a purchasing clerk, a purchasing agent out of TLPD and moved them actually up into purchasing, so that we're not. What we've found is that we silo ourselves. So special ed does special ed, student services does student services, TLPD does TLPD, learning management does learning management, food services does this, and operations does this. And what we need to do is we need to break down all those walls, put people together, make sure that the people doing the work are right next to each other so they can share best practices, so we're not recreating work. It's interesting. We actually had Vice Admiral Dunaway last night was speaking about the future of NavAir specifically, and said that this is one of the things we have to do. We have to find efficiencies. We have to recognize that siloed work is by its own nature redundant. So what we've done with that one position is by moving their location from physical here to physical there, they are now in close proximity to people who are actually doing the work with the money. That actually, as far as the alignment from Ms. Charbonnet's perspective, and I wish she was here, she will say that she actually has a more consistent access to understanding exactly what's going on. There's no delay between. I've spoken to somebody in my department, now they're going to go over and talk to somebody over in finance, and then when they both get together, then they'll come back to me. Now it's just simply done directly through finance.
And I support the fact that you have been working to make sure that people are housed in a way or you know, located in a way that makes the most sense. It just, if you take this in isolation, it just makes it look like we're taking somebody away from compliance and putting them someplace else, and that's my concern. Is I don't want to lose sight of we have somebody who's specifically doing that. Right. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And I would also ask that the slides that you've presented to us, that they get loaded into board docs so I can go back and look at them, because
yes,
they're not there, and I'm going to have to pull up the YouTube channel and listen to this one again. So.
And I don't want to leave anyone with the impression that Tammy and Scott created this last night at 11 o'clock. What is in this document was done over the past several weeks at the county commissioners' budget work sessions. As money, as we all know, we lost some, we gained some,
right.
You know, everything back and forth. So what she has here was the product of the last county commissioner work session, which was last Monday, a week ago, not yesterday, but a week
Right,
ago.
and I apologize,
So-
I have been out of town on
Exactly.
family emergencies, so I was
Right.
not able to attend those two particular meetings.
And there has been a lot of back and forth between the county commissioners asking questions, and they have been excellent about coming to us for questions and allowing Scott and Tammy to speak to them during those budget work sessions, and I cannot thank them enough. Nothing regarding the finance department over there. I just feel better having it come from us since they live and breathe it 24/7, as Tammy clearly does with her late emails some nights.
Yes.
So that's how this whole thing has evolved over the course of the last several weeks. And the county commissioners have also been very gracious in allowing us to put in requests for one-time funds in an effort to keep an eye on the maintenance of effort that they will have to fund. And and I think it's been an excellent partnership through this whole budget process. I think everyone has worked well together, and it is getting us where we need to be. And I know we're going to have continued discussions through the summer over upcoming needs for the school system, and I look forward to those, and I'm so glad that they are open to doing that with us. So.
And I was able to watch a good portion of yesterday's meeting, though I wasn't able to be there in person, and was very impressed by the conversation that took place. And
Yes.
so I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be at those work sessions to follow this as closely as I would have done otherwise.
Right, it's been a lot of note scratching and, okay, now we have this and let's move this, and, and Tammy has gone back, to her credit, after every work session and, run a whole, another set of numbers. So, I think everyone is happy that we are, where we need to be, and I think it's been a good effort, so, thank you.
So at this point, we'd like your approval on this so we can submit it to the county commissioners for their final action.
I move that the Board of Education approve the recommended budget for fiscal year 2016 as presented and forward to the Commissioners of St. Mary's County for their review and approval.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Mr. Jones, regarding meal price increases.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So today I'm bringing forward for your consideration a recommendation for an increase in our meal prices for school year 2015 and 2016. So the National School Lunch Program has a provision that requires equity in the pricing of paid lunch meals with the rate of reimbursement for free meals. The rate of reimbursement for free lunch meals is currently $2.98, while the average price for a paid meal is $2.55. The equity provision requires school districts to either raise lunch meal prices or make up the difference with outside funding. In the school breakfast program, increased food costs do support an increase in raising the meal price for breakfast as well. And the recommendation is to increase breakfast meal prices by 5 cents and lunch meal prices by 10 cents. And milk will remain the same at 50 cents. So at this time, questions,
Mrs. Crosby?
comments?
The free still get it free, right? Correct?
The free still get their meals for free, yes.
Good, that's great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
I don't either. No, thank you.
It's a requirement of the law.
Okay.
Mhm.
Seeking a motion.
I recommend that the Board of Education of St. Mary's County approve the increase for school year 2015-2016 of breakfast meal prices by 5 cents and lunch meal prices by 10 cents.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Mr. Jeffrey Thompson, school bus purchases.
Oh, you need that?
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to see everyone today.
Get a picture.
Staff is seeking the Board of Education's approval to piggyback on the Washington County Public Schools contract bid 2015-21 with American Bus Sales and Service in order to purchase one 2016 Thomas Safety Liner C2 72-passenger school bus. This bus will be used for field trips and will replace one of our existing field trip buses that are coming to the end of their allowable life in the state of Maryland. The education article, the annotated code 7804, only allows public school buses to operate for 15 years in the state of Maryland. Currently, the board owns 24 school buses, and of those, 5, Bus 801, Bus 811, Bus 812, Bus 813, and Bus 814, which you see here, Bus 814, are full-size field trip buses. School buses 811, 812, and 813, which are similar to 814, will be in their 14th year of service next year. School Bus 814 started in February 10, 2005, and will be in its 12th year of service next year. So all 4 of them are quickly approaching the end of their life cycle. And School Bus 801, which recently was servicing an out-of-county school, we moved over to handle field trips because of the maintenance issues we've been having with our older field trip buses. So School Bus 801 started in December 17, 2010, and will be in its 6th year of service next school year. In regards to the other 19 school buses, 2 of the buses are used for training, and 17 of the school buses are used for special education transportation to schools in St. Mary's County and also to schools outside of St. Mary's County. The Washington County Public Schools contract was awarded to American Bus Sales and Service through a competitive bid process. American Bus Sales and Service has agreed to extend all terms and conditions of the Washington County Public Schools contract to St. Mary's County Public Schools, and the awarded unit price of $89,728 plus the $5,512 option for full bus air conditioning were approved by the Washington County Public Schools Board of Education at their November 4th, 2014 meeting. The total purchase price will be $95,240, and a copy of the bid tabulation for Washington County Public Schools is attached to the document in the board agenda. Funding for the purchase will be derived from the fuel savings that we've seen this year. The 2014-2015 budget had fuel budgeted at $4 a gallon, to whereas diesel fuel has been under $4 a gallon this entire school year. So are there any questions at this time?
Mrs. Crosby?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they have seat belts? Seat belts.
No, the school buses do not have seat
May
belts.
I ask why, please?
In the state
We're always having accidents, as you know.
Well, nationally, the safety on school buses is all done by compartmentalization, and that's what's been the approved standard process for school buses nationwide.
Oh,
And
I
so
see. The
basically,
compartments.
the seats are designed in such a way with the high backs that students are considered within that compartment as a safety item. And that's how all school buses pretty much operate. Now, our special needs buses that we do order that come in, they do have integrated seats like car seats, and they do also, the new ones coming in also have full seat belts,
Good.
3-point seat
Good,
belts
good.
that we use. So any other questions?
Thank you.
regarding this? No problem, Mr. Councilman.
You have 17 handicapped school buses, or handicap accessible school buses. Those are used for the schools within the county and without of the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any designated school buses, and if, they're going on a field trip, in order to be able to have someone that's in a wheelchair or whatever be able to go on the field trip?
Yes, well, we do have several spare school buses that are the standard size special education buses that have a wheelchair lift. We do also have a larger bus, 802, which is a full-size school bus with a wheelchair lift that the board has that we use for whether it be a school item or whether it be field trips we do use. We also have a couple contractors that have a couple of the larger buses that have a wheelchair lift
All right, thank
that are
you.
used.
I have 2 quick questions. The first one, the bid that you have, the price, the way I read the bid sheet, states that it includes delivery to Hagerstown?
Yeah, that's the Washington County bid, which is
Okay.
to Washington County, so they'll deliver it to here.
Okay,
They'll make the
but then
adjustment.
will that change the bid price at all?
No.
So whatever their delivery is to Hagerstown from wherever it's coming, it's the same as whether it's coming down here or not?
Correct. They'll honor the same price they're charging them to deliver here to
Okay,
St. Mary's, which actually is, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit closer than Hagerstown
okay,
from Annapolis, because American Bus Sales and Service is located in Annapolis.
right, that's what I figured, okay. And then in the dialogue at the onset, you talked about how the, buses are all reaching their 15-year maximum. Are we going to maintain the same number in the fleet of buses, or are we going to, allow those buses to drop off and not have as many field trip buses as what we have over the upcoming years?
Well, we'll try to maintain as best we can the number
Okay.
of buses that we
Okay.
do have.
All right, and maintain the same number?
The same total number.
Okay.
Right. So we'll, with if this is approved, we'll have this bus come in next year. We'll keep the buses that are in their 14th year next year. We'll let them run 14th and 15th year, but after that, they'll be sold through
Okay.
the auction process that we use, gulfdeals.com, and they'll be sold out. But then we'll hopefully be approved for another school bus to replace the other ones as well, but depending on how the budget situation is.
Okay. All right, well, being on a field trip bus on Monday to George Mason University, I appreciate these new buses. Go ahead, your turn, Mrs. Washington.
Thank you. Could you explain the Angel Track digital camera system and how is that different from what we have? That's the first question, and I have a second question after that.
Sure. Included in the price of this, Washington County included the camera system in the price of their purchase. Now, Washington County is they own many more of their buses than we do. They're about more, I would say almost 60% owned by the county and 40% owned by contractors. And so in their buses that they purchase for the county, they include the camera system. We use the same system, Angel Track's camera systems, but typically the process that we do is we purchase them ourselves separate from the buses, and then we install them on the contracted buses and our buses. However, this bus price is going to include the camera system already, so it's not an extra purchase we'll have to make.
So how many cameras are on the bus?
How many cameras inside the bus?
Yes,
The-
with this Angel Track system.
Yeah, there's 4 cameras that are inside the bus. One that looks down the door well, one that looks from the front to the back, one that looks from the midway to the back, and one in the very back that looks in the back section of the bus.
Is there one that look out at the traffic ahead?
No, we do not have those. It's just a 4-camera system, and that's what this one has. We haven't progressed. There is a capability if we wanted to pay the funds to upgrade to go to an 8-camera system that we could put a camera to go out front and back, which Montgomery County is doing, but not many of the other counties are doing at this time.
Was there any consideration to having GPS on the buses that leave the county, especially for field trips?
Well, the camera systems have a passive GPS, so you can pull it and track it afterwards, but not a live GPS. But on some of the buses we do own ourselves, and actually many of the special needs buses, but not the regular buses, they do have an active GPS, which is through a Zonar system, if you ever heard of Zonar. And so on several of our buses, we do have it, but it's not on all of our buses, which is an active. I could pull it up now and see where the bus is actively located, but it's not on all the buses.
I was speaking specifically about buses that leave the county. That would be a good feature to have, the GPS, especially when they leave the county.
Sure.
Since, we don't have but so much money, we can always track our buses, where they are and what's going on.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
To follow up on that, Mrs. Washington, are you talking about GPS to track where the bus is, or are you talking about the GPS system that would allow a bus driver going on a field trip to utilize that to make sure that, they're
Like a Magellan.
right,
type.
Magellan type or something that would
It's
tell them what
it's
there would be
actually
going.
both.
Okay.
It's actually both.
We,
If something happened, the GPS will tell them a way around the traffic,
Mhm.
or if something happens, some kind of emergency happen and the bus is on the road and you can exactly tell exactly in real time where our bus is.
All right, well, on most of our buses, like most of our out-of-county buses that service the out-of-county non-public schools, they have a GPS that shows us where they are, but on none of our buses do we have a Magellan-type system that the driver can punch in that gives them active directions. Many of the drivers, most of them carry smartphones that have a GPS system built in, but we do not provide them an active system for them to have directions and whatnot.
But I appreciate the fact that at least for our field trip buses, that we're going for systems that have air conditioning, because those trips
Oh,
get.
they don't use them. We did not use them on Monday.
Oh, sorry about that. That does then call into question, how does the driver decide whether or not to use air conditioning that is already in the bus?
Yeah, we don't really have anything in place telling the drivers when they have to use them, when they don't use them, but the expectation's there that if it is such a nature that the passengers are uncomfortable, same as with heat on the bus, that they'll have it on, you know, whether it be heat or air conditioning, so during time. So it's really between the driver and the adult chaperone that's the head in charge to kind of make those determinations.
Well, and I was going to say, if the adult in charge, or if they're not aware that there is air conditioning available, they may not recognize that is an option. Perhaps that's a point of discussion for the future, is
Sure.
How do we ensure that the system, the air conditioning or heat that's available on the bus is utilized in an appropriate manner, and what triggers that particular piece. Otherwise, I think the majority of my questions have been answered. I was struck by, on the bid document, when they talked about special ed buses, especially the number of buses that they were talking about. With respect to the standard buses, the price for 10 buses was simply a multiplier of 10 of the bid price, where the special ed buses appeared to be a single bus for better than $100,000, and then up to 14 buses for $500,000, which is clearly not a multiplier of the original bid number. That struck me as unusual. But I appreciate that we're trying to maintain this fleet. I know that students go on many fewer field trips now than they did in years past. But I think there's great value in being able to go out and be a part of an experience beyond the classroom. And so I'm grateful that we are able to continue field trips, at least to a certain extent. So thank you. That's all.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I would like a motion regarding this. Mary, do you have it?
Yes, I do. That the Board of Education approve the purchase of one 2016 72-passenger bus utilizing the Washington County Public Schools bid 2015-21.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartwick has some more furniture for us.
I think Mr. Hartwick is
He
either
will always
dreaming
have
of or
furniture.
having nightmares about furniture.
There we go.
Good morning, board members.
Good
Furniture,
morning.
furniture. We do have two action items today that are closely related to ongoing furniture procurement for Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary School and the Spring Ridge Middle School renovation and addition. The first item pertains to Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary School. And let me start out to say that we provided, I think, a lot of backup material with it, so you could see the photographs and you could see examples of the furniture. But to start off, this procurement is basically taking care of teachers' desk and teacher chairs for the classrooms at Captain Walter Francis Duke. And since 2007 was the renovation of Leonardtown Elementary School, we have successfully used a Smith System product for all the classroom furniture, and that has proven to be a very durable and good value for us with all those projects. So we're proposing to use Smith's Group again for the teacher's desk, although our experience at Evergreen Elementary School, we're kind of utilizing that experience and that lesson learned, is that those classrooms are fairly small. They average about 775 square feet. So it's a challenge to fully furnish those classrooms. And so one of the things that we found at Evergreen Elementary School is that we provided a separate desk, a separate mobile pedestal, and a separate return. And as we walked through Evergreen, we noticed that those returns weren't being used. And teachers could really use more file space. So you see that working with the principal, Mr. DiRenzo, we have selected this desk. It's a double pedestal desk. You see it was a box file on each side. There's lockable, so it provides the locking spaces that's required by the classified agreement. And it's actually a little bit larger of a workspace. It's a 72-inch length top. And you see it has that really nice double bullet ends, so they can move students to the end of the teacher's table for a breakout or parent conference. So that's the teacher's desk. For these presentation boards, or presentation tables, I should say, to be used with the smart boards, we're proposing a single 24 by 36 inch table. So this is a double. It would be on casters, so it would also be mobile. And then for the chair, this is the chair that we used at Evergreen Elementary School. It's a terrific chair. It has a lot of unique features for the price. It's constructed of a double polypropylene shell with tiny perforations in it, so that acts like an air cushion. So you have a feel almost like an upholstered seat, but you have the advantage of the cleanability of a hard plastic. So that's the chair. Teachers love it at Evergreen. And then the other component is, again, a lesson learned from Evergreen Elementary School for Duke, is that at Evergreen Elementary School, we provided student chairs at each one of the half-moon tables that we provided for each classroom. We're doing that at Duke, but what they found at Evergreen, they really like using individual stools at those half-moon tables, and they're stackable, makes a very clean installation, and the price is a little bit less than the student chairs. So those are the components that we're proposing to use. At the last board meeting, Mrs. Washington asked about what does a lifetime warranty mean, because that's Arco Bell, part of their marketing is to say a lifetime warranty. Basically, that's a warranty against manufacturer's defect for the lifetime. So an example of a manufacturer's defect would be if the plastic laminate delaminates from the substrate, or you get a broken weld in your frame. So by comparison, the Smith Systems that we're talking about has a lifetime on the frame and a 12-year on the other component. I'll tell you from experience, manufacturers really do honor those warranties. I've had cases in the past where we've changed out components. The manufacturers want to do that because they want to keep your customer loyalty. So those are the elements of Smith Systems. American Design was awarded the Smith System contract as part of the Baltimore Regional Cooperative Purchasing Committee Contract 2008-1. Under that contract, the Smith Systems has a discount of 50.2%. I'll tell you that unlike other manufacturers, Smith Group has not had a price increase in 2015, so we're getting the benefit of a 2014 price. The prices are very comparable to other manufacturers such as Verco and Arco Bell on the components. And you see we got a little higher discount on the VS chair. Stated discount is 16%, and we're getting 31.5%. Now, in terms of the financials of the budget, we have $1,100,000 set aside for furniture and technology for Captain Walter Francis Duke. We've been concentrating on the furniture, obviously, because of the lead time. The breakout is about $400,000 for furniture, $700,000 for technology, since we're buying essentially all technology for the school. So to date, we've spent about $195,000 in furniture so far. So this procurement of approximately $69,000 would bring us to about $263,000, which is about 65%. I reviewed the budget last night with Mr. Clements. In terms of technology, again, we set aside about $700,000. We think we've got some movement in that as we have evaluated the technology. So we expect that we can reallocate within that category for kind of higher second priorities in terms of furniture and equipment. So with that, we're asking your approval to American Design under the Baltimore Regional Cooperative Purchasing Contract 2008-1 in the amount of $68,844.34.
Mrs. Crosby, do you have any questions?
The chairs look good to me, especially the one with the arms on it. Reminds me of a chair I had, still there actually. No, other than that, it sounds like you got got a lot for your money. Thank you.
Thank you once again for providing all this information to the board, because that way it alleviated a lot of questions.
Good.
And also for going back to the staff at Evergreen to find out what worked and what didn't in order to improve.
That's the advantage of a prototype.
I just have one question, and I think you answered it with your discussion and review of the budget, but okay, so if we are paying $220 for a chair or desk or whatever it is, how does that price compare to how you budgeted for it when you built the expenses for Duke in the CIP?
Yeah, well, really favorably.
Okay.
We kept very detailed records, all the POs for Evergreen, and so when we built the budget, we were looking at that. But I'll remind the board that when we built this budget, technology, the movement was for the computers to be leased, and we're actually purchasing those. And so through a very aggressive fiscal management of the project, we've mentioned this before, the change order on this project are very low, $76,000 to date. That's less than 1%, which is remarkable. And so we've been very cognizant through the whole process.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that, based on, as we're spending money up front now for these things, that we still have money at the end for the technology piece and things like that. So, all right, thank you.
And we do, again, kind of being prudent, we do reserve what we call a project contingency that gives us that flexibility at the end of the job to pick up the items that are a high priority at the end of the job.
Okay. All right.
Very good. Thank you.
The The stools that you have up there, those are going to be for the students?
They're 18 inches high,
Mm-hmm.
and those will be for the students at the half moon table. Yep.
And given that they don't have backs on them, the experience at Evergreen has been that the students actually sit in them and don't try to spin around in them, or?
Well, the seats don't move. It's
No,
not,
but,
it's not on a swivel.
right, I get the seats don't move,
Yeah.
but certainly students can.
Yes, that is true.
And trying to keep them focused on the teacher at that half moon table as compared to what's my buddy doing or anything else.
Right.
I just wondered, with a back on the chair, they can't spin they can't move their bodies all the way around.
Right.
So I'm just wondering about the classroom management aspect, if you will, of this particular
Sure.
design.
And in talking to Mr. DiRenzo, the duration at these activity tables is fairly short,
Okay.
15, 20 minutes. The other thing to recognize is this comes out of the Evergreen experience, where they started with, maybe one or two classrooms with these stools, and virtually all the classrooms now have these stools. So,
Okay. All right. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Okay, if no one has anything else, I would like a motion.
I recommend the Board of Education approve the use of the Baltimore Regional Cooperative Purchasing Committee's bid number 2008-01 with American Design Associates for Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary School in the amount of $68,844.34.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You want to move right into Spring Ridge?
all right, well, the furniture is similar, and I'll just quickly go through these with you. And again, we've worked very closely with Ms. Fulp, and just to update you on where we are in terms of phasing, it's a little complex, but we're rapidly approaching the end of phase 2, which is 9 classrooms. It looks like it's going to be very end of May, early June for the completion of that phase. Working with the contractor, Ms. Fulp, we decided not to move teachers from the relocatables into phase 2 for just 2 weeks. That makes really no sense. So we're going to basically, at the end of the year, we will occupy phase 2, and that furniture has been pretty much ordered. There's a couple items that we're picking up on this procurement. And then working with the contractor, we've kind of looked at the remainder of the job and what makes sense. So phase 3 is another 9 classroom, former pod. They will start that work this summer, but the highest priority is what we call phase 4, which is the administrative office, the cafeteria, and the music room. So that's a pretty big, and the health suite. That's a pretty big chunk. So we want to concentrate on that. We can't fail. So that's where our priority is. And so this procurement is really looking at some additional furniture for phase 2, 3, and 4. We expect phase 3 to be completed probably early to late September of this year, so it won't follow too far behind the opening of school. So in terms of the furniture, again, just to reiterate, we're proposing to use the VS chair, which is that chair right there. There you see the half moon table that we were talking about before. And then we also use the Smith Group components for phases 1 and 2 at Spring Ridge. And you see that it's kind of modular pieces. You see this is a 30 by 60 inch rectangular desk. And then it nests really nicely with this almost like a half moon shape at the end, and both those features are on pedestals so that they can be moved around the classroom. So if you have a parent conference or something, you can take the planner's table out and move it to another location and have a nice conference area. And then in addition to that, we provided a mobile pedestal, a single pedestal, and then for a presentation cart, we've utilized, again, a single computer desk in the style of that Acrobat series. So phase 2 will pick up. We did not purchase any teacher's chairs in phase 1 or 2 to date because we really wanted to look at the volume that we knew was coming up with Duke. And again, that 32% discount is the volume of the chairs at Captain Walter Francis Duke and for Spring Ridge Middle School. So again, American Design has that contract. In terms of our financial pro forma for Spring Ridge, we have a little more funds. We have $1,250,000 for furniture and technology. We divided that up because Spring Ridge, most of the furniture is original to the school. So we're really replacing entire middle school furniture, similar to what we did at Leonardtown Middle School. So we used the experience at Leonardtown Middle School to help build that budget. From a technology point of view, I think Spring Ridge is a little better off in terms of its technology than Leonardtown Middle School. But the breakout is $700,000 for furniture, $550,000 for technology. To date, we've expended $208,000 in furniture, leaving a balance of about $490,000. I did a pro forma this morning, looking at all the remaining rooms, and we're dead on in terms of the furniture. Technology to date, we spent about $112,000. Most of that is in the smart boards and the network infrastructure. So as we go on, we'll be talking with Ms. Fulp about what her technology priorities are beyond those items. And also, Spring Ridge Middle School has one less computer lab, 2 less computer labs, I think, than Leonardtown Middle School. So a little smaller expenditure for computers. So that's where we are at Spring Ridge Middle School.
Mrs. Crosby?
No, looks good. Thank you for all your work.
Mrs. Weaver?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
I don't either. Mrs. Washington?
Good job, thank you.
No questions.
Okay, I'm seeking a motion.
I move that the Board of Education approve the use of the Baltimore Regional Cooperative Purchasing Committee's bid number 2008-01 with American Design Associates for Spring Ridge Middle School in the amount of $26,187.39. Thank you, sir.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you very much. Mrs. McCord?
So for the month of April, we actually ran the report a couple of days early because our payroll processing required that. Our first pay of May was on May 1st, so because of the timing, we needed to coordinate that. Otherwise, we would have overstated our salary expenses for the month of April. For the revenues, year-to-date, we've received $175.4 million, representing 89.86% of our budgeted revenues. You'll note on here that the OPEB revenues had not been received as of the end of April, but they were received just last week of $2.6 million.
Yay.
On the expenditure side, we have $48.2 million encumbered, and total encumbrances and expenses year-to-date are $185.9 million, representing 95.2% of the budget. Of concern still is special education that's still being closely monitored. We have encumbrances outstanding of $5.6 million of the $17 million budget. So actual expenses to date for special education are approximately $12 million. To include the encumbrances we have remaining in that category, $117,000. Any questions?
Mrs. Crosby? Mrs. Crosby, you have a question?
I went over the whole thing. I always noticed special ed need a little bit more, but other than that, everything's fine. Thank you.
Do you anticipate having to transfer any funds from other areas in order to compensate for the transfer area in special ed?
I do. We're currently reviewing all of the encumbrances within the special education department, working very closely with the executive director there. Specifically the contracted services and the transfers out for the non-public schools to ensure that the encumbrances that we have in place truly represent what our year-end costs are going to represent.
And I do know, like earlier you spoke about the budget, and then I noticed that a lot of the contracted services that, you know, like some of them specifically for special ed, are now going to be FTEs. And I know that is a cost saving overall. Will that, for next year, kind of offset what happened this year?
So in fiscal 2016, we did reduce the contracted services by a little bit to allow for the hiring of an FTE that will be creating a little bit of savings. So yes, in answer to your question.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Washington?
Looks good, thank you.
Mrs. Allen?
No questions.
Me either.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. In a short 2 weeks, it will be graduations. Therefore, programming note, the board meeting will be on Tuesday, May 26th.
That will be
At
such a
5 p.m.
great week. We're going to spend the entire week
I know,
together
every single
every
night.
evening. How about-
Tuesday through Friday.
Watch over 1,200 kids walk across the stage. That will be great.
And with that,
Stages.
programming note, remember everyone, Tuesday,
Tuesday.
standing tall, Tuesdays. We'll see you then.